We're Walnut Creek and we're with Chester Farrow. He does a lot of things. He does the scoreboard at the Coliseum, but we were talking, it goes way back to Monte Vista in 1967, and we both know a guy named Charlie Shepler. Talk about that.
Well, I started doing television production in the very early 70s at Monte Vista High School, and I wanted to do a full live production, half-hour show with some entertainment. And because we had several musicians in the area and I was doing concerts at the time, and in fact Bruce Hawk, a guitar instructor in Danville, wanted to get exposure, and so we'd do a half-hour show, 15 minutes of which was like Saturday Night Live, and the last 10 minutes was live music, or we recorded on tape and whatever. And so then, where do I take this? I started very early with taking it to right here in Walnut Creek to Charlie Shepler, and then he moved to Martinez, and I had to trek it all the way to Martinez, and we do about 25 to 30 live shows a year, and the Saturday Night Live part was live. We added on the music, in which we recorded it the following day. So yeah, that was our little show called Just For You.
Nice.
And we were on for about 20 years.
Okay, and that's where it started, like the late 70s or?
Early 70s.
Early 70s, wow.
We got started early 70s.
Exactly.
In fact, when I got my first Sony A1 little mixer, okay, with Sony cameras with 6 pins, and well, anyway, it was black and white, but we could do live things and dissolve from one shot to another and so forth, and my kids found it fascinating. Yeah. And nowadays the equipment is so much more advanced, but nonetheless,
that's where it all started.
We were a pioneer.
Right, and then it's also being a pioneer, the A's move out in 1968.
They did.
Okay, in 1969 they need scoreboard operators, and you needed 3 skills. You needed to know baseball, you needed to know typing, and also you needed to know computers. You knew one, but then you taught yourself. Go ahead and tell this is great.
Wow. In 1969 is when they built brand new scoreboards. These were kind of on a par with the Astrodome in Houston, and they were huge. Some of you may remember in left center and right center field and so forth. And so anyway, all of this was new. And anyway, I was coaching football at Monte Vista High School in 1969. And one of my defensive backs, Eric Warner, his father, Don Warner, was assistant general manager at the Coliseum and was in charge of hiring 2 people to run the scoreboard, the brand new scoreboards. So a fellow coach and teacher, Ray Crawford, and we said, let's go for this job, and we rolled up our sleeves, and there were 19 people competing for this job, and the training was going to be Monday through Friday during our Easter break, and then 7 days later the season was going to start for the A's. So this had to be kind of quick and so forth. Anyway, on the very first day there were 19 of us, and they showed us basically how things work, and we opened the book, the big giant book, and so anyway, they said, okay, we're going to do homework, okay, which is try doing this tonight, set it up for tomorrow, we'll type it in, you'll type it in, see how it works, and so forth. So Ray and we kind of rolled up our sleeves and said, we're both teachers, we know how to do final exam preparation and so forth. Come on, let's kill this. And so we spent 3 to 4 hours that very first night, and what have you, felt very prepared the next day when we went in for training. And they would ask one of the people that are applying for a job, maybe he was a real estate salesperson, maybe he was an insurance salesperson, maybe a bartender, but his schedule allowed him to do the A's games and so forth. And they'd say, okay, come on, show me what you did last night. Well, gee, one of my children had whooping cough and we were up all night and so forth. And the next person would have, gee, I got 2 jobs, and the next person, and then Ray and I got to do what we wanted to do, and we not only did what you asked us to do, of course, but we had more prepared, and we tried this, can we put this in? Well, at the end of the second day, it's supposed to be 5 days of training for all of us. At the end of the second day, they said, that's it, Chester and Ray, you're our scoreboard operators. And then I got the job, and then any negotiations for raises and what have you went straight to Charlie Finley, and he liked me, and he called me Ace, and he always took care of me, always thought that I put a gun to his head because He would call me to see if I wanted the job. Am I going to continue being the scoreboard operator the next year, 1971, 72, 70, it doesn't matter the year. It was always the same scenario. And I said, well, I need a little bit more money and so forth because this is taking a lot of my time and I'm missing my family and a lot of sacrifices, that you have to make. And so he eventually give in and so forth. And a cute story that I'll tell you very quickly about Charlie Finley. This was in 1972, and we clinched the R division. And therefore, we would play Detroit in the playoffs before the World Series. Anyway, we clinched the division. It was about 11 days to go. And when the score was, I think it was a big score, but I'm going to say like 9-1. Maybe in the 7th inning, I had Ray covered for me. And I told him, I said, Ray, I'm going to go down and I'm going to ask Mr. Finley to take me to the playoffs. You want to go? And he goes, no, I can't go. My wife is pregnant and what have you. We're about ready to have a child. And I went, okay, Roy, you want to go? And I was talking about Roy Steele. You want to go? He goes, yeah, I'd love to go. I said, well, I'm going to go down and ask. So I'll ask for you guys too. So I went down to his booth. He was surrounded by a lot of writers and what have you because that was the night we were clinching.
Right.
And it looked like it was all over. So they were ready, and they were talking. And I think Catfish was pitching. And so it was like, it was over. And so I asked him, I says, Mr. Finley, I have a favor to ask of you. I said, I've never been south of Tijuana, north of Crescent City, east of Reno, or west of San Francisco.
Right.
I'd love to go to Detroit with you to the playoffs. And he goes, well, yeah, I might take some people during the World Series, but not during the playoffs. And I said, well, I don't know of any guarantee you could give me that we're going to make it to the World Series. So I've never been anywhere. I'd like to go to Detroit with you. He went, all right, Ace, you're going.
Wow.
That's it. You're going. So then I was stupid. And I said, yeah, and then Roy Steele would like to go too and what have you. You have Roy Steele come down here and talk to me personally. You don't speak for other people. And that, in essence, is Charlie Finley. He was kind of gruff, kind of rough. But he took me to Detroit, Roy Steele and I. Oh, and the organ player, that's right, he wanted to go to Lloyd Fox.
Wow.
I don't know if Lloyd is still with us anymore, but he was the organ player and what have you. So we all got to go to Detroit. Now this is another cute story. So I got a bunch of them, but anyway.
No, go ahead.
Anyway, we land in Detroit and we get there, and so we have an off day and we get to go out to dinner with him and others and whatever. Very good. But now we are going to go to our first ball game. And there are 3 buses out there for the contingent from the press and all like that. 3 buses and 2 limos. So the buses come and we're all lining up and what have you. Oh, by the way, they give you meal money, which was, in those days was, I think, around $62. So it's cash, $62 cash and your ticket. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then I never paid for anything. I didn't pay for meals, drinks. I didn't. Finley was so generous, it was unbelievable. So now we're about ready. So I'm loading in the bus. So I get in the bus. Roy Steele and I are sitting next to her in the bus. Finley comes in. He used to call Roy Steele Parsons because he was a minister or a parson. Ace, Parson, get out of here. Come on, you're sitting over here. So we got out and, yeah, Mr. Finley, what's the matter? No. Who told you to get in the bus? I don't know. I just thought, nah, you don't get in the bus. What have you? See that limo right there? Behind his limo? Okay. That's your limo.
Wow.
So that was for Roy Steele and myself and Lloyd Fox.
Wow.
And so we had a limo. So then we said, well, to the limo driver, do we have to go straight there? Can you show us some of the sights of Detroit while we're here? I mean, we got the ticket.
Yeah.
So, and you know how to get us there. Let's go check out the city a little bit, and
Wow.
we did.
That's wonderful.
And we had fun, and we went, and it turns out that my seat was right next to the mayor of Detroit's wife.
Okay.
And I happened to have a coat in which in the left pocket was licorice drops, and the right pocket were sunflower seeds. She loved the licorice drops, so we became fast friends, and
right.
got invited to things unbelievable.
Right.
Just,
No, and
so anyway, Finley made that all possible.
Okay, that's good because Finley was tight-fisted, but he could be generous, as that story shows.
Right. No. He was not the easiest guy to work with, but let's go like this. He used to call down, especially if the commissioner was in town and what have you, and he didn't like the commissioner, Bowie Kuhn. And so anyway, he'd say, I know we're probably supposed to welcome the commissioner. I said, well, I'm waiting for your call. And he says, well, I wanted to say something rude. It doesn't matter. I don't. And I go, okay, Mr. Finley, I'll put it up there for you. When I never typed it in.
Okay.
But why? He's always drinking a bit, having fun,
Right.
just playing. If I ever took that and actually put it in and used it as a defense, which is you told me to do that, I wouldn't have a job.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so I knew that he didn't want to do that, but this is how he felt.
Right.
And then he wanted to hear me say, I'm typing it in now. I used to go, "Ta, ta, 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 ta." I wasn't typing anything. It just,
Yeah.
"Ta, ta, 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 ta."
Yeah.
Okay, but it made him happy.
Right.
And he'd say, okay, save that for me.
I
Save
see.
it.
Yeah, I see.
Oh, no problem, I'm saving it.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't save it.
Right. No, that's
So-
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he must have been the toughest boss you ever had. I mean,
Well, I saw him fire our traveling secretary right in front of my own face.
Okay.
And I was just going down there to get the starting lineups, so we didn't have interns like we do now at
Yeah.
the Oakland A's. When you got all your stuff yourself, so you go down to where the press is and
Yeah.
you pick up the lineups and all the notes, the game notes and so forth, and you pick it up. So I'm walking by and what have you, and I evidently, the traveling secretary, nice guy whose name I guess I've long forgot, doesn't matter.
Early 70s.
But yeah, I think it was 69. I think it was
wow,
my
for
first
sure.
year.
Wow.
He had opened his mouth to someone in the press about something that Finley was doing, thinking about, or whatever like that. And you
Right.
don't ever betray that trust.
Okay.
So one of the things I learned, what have you, if you want to succeed in any professional sport, and I don't want to speak for those of you that are out there that are in an office job and what, because I don't know, I never had that. I was a high school teacher, but I know professional sports. Enjoy what you see, appreciate every moment of it. Keep your mouth shut. You know nothing. Now, there are times where you could talk about these things, such as around the dinner table with your family.
Right.
That's a good thing.
Right.
Be cool downstairs where there's a catered meal for us and what have you, who's listening at the next table.
Wow. Okay.
But you're talking to someone that you have complete confidence in. But who's hearing you
Right.
back over here?
Right.
So you learn just to keep your mouth shut and do your job. And by the way, let me tell you another thing about professional sports. Very rarely, if ever, are you complimented on a job well done. Very rarely. Your compliment is no phone call, no barking in your face, no getting on your case.
Wow.
So when you do a great job,
It's silence.
that's it.
Silence.
Silence is golden.
Wow. Okay.
And so you better get used to that. And if you need constant praise, if you need pats on the back, don't get into professional sports.
Right.
Forget about it.
Right.
Every once in a while they'll go like, I don't even know the last time I was told I did a great game in which there was nothing wrong with balls or strikes and everything was perfect. I don't think, I remember when instant replay came in, okay, and you're allowed to use that now in Major League Baseball, okay? The very first year, which is either last year or the year before, I forget, the years go by,
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. The batter thought that it was, I guess 3 balls, and it was only 2 balls and 2 strikes. So he got a ball. I think it's not against Houston. I think the first occurrence of this where they challenged balls and strikes was in Houston. I was the second one according to Vince Cotroneo. So it now became 3-2, okay? Now the guy starts walking to first base. Now wait a minute. I could be wrong. I mean, it's easy when you're doing the scoreboard to see the ball, to know it's a ball, that the umpire made no movement that it was a strike, and you put strike. Why do human beings possibly do that? I don't even care. It just happens from time to time. And then someone will say, Chad, that was a ball, not a strike. I saw it. Okay. So anyway, maybe I'm wrong. as this guy goes down to first base. Now he doesn't stop midway. He goes all the way to first. Now the umpire starts calling him back. Yet the manager for the other team goes, no, it's ball 4. We got it down then. Oh, now I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sitting at 3-2.
Right.
They're saying it's ball 4.
Yeah.
Hey, my heart's pounding. I'm
Sure.
going, hey.
Yeah.
And it's going to be reviewed.
Right.
And everything. So they reviewed it, and I was correct. Bada
Okay.
boom, bada
Yeah,
bing.
yeah, that's it.
And that's the only time I've been challenged.
Okay.
Very rarely do
Sure.
they challenge
Right.
balls and strikes, because usually, see, the problem is, let's go like this. We have brand new scoreboards now. There's a problem with the scoreboards. The umpires can't even see where balls and strikes are, and so forth and so on. Okay? So when this was happening a couple years ago, we had the old scoreboards. It was crystal clearly put up there and what
Right,
have you.
right.
Okay. The umpires tended for the past 15 years to just trust everything I do. So they don't bring out clickers. Some still do.
Okay.
But most of them didn't even bother to bring it out.
Yeah.
Just check on what Chet put up there. It's
Right.
2-2. It's 2-2.
Yeah.
Pretty close. So on this one, the reason the umpire didn't say it's 3-2, come back here, that's it, is he had no clicker to back it up.
Right. Wow.
And now what are you going to do? You know?
Sure, no.
So the instant replay saved the day for all of us.